Welcome back for Keeper of the Lost Cities Lodestar, chapters 33 and 34. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Give today's video a like and let me know who's more annoying, Fenton or Brant. Chapter 43. Are you sure Dimitar's not agreeing to the meeting, so he'll have the perfect chance to slice Fenton's head off with his extra scary, extra spiky sword? Fitz asked. Because if I were him, that's what I'd do after the way the Neverseen's plague plan backfired on him. And I'd be good with that. They're welcome to take Alvar out, too. I wouldn't mind if the ogres finished off Brant either, Sophie added, trying to scrape the sulky slime off her shoe. Same goes for anyone who helped attack Wiley. Don't worry, they'll be in huge trouble for letting him get away, Keefe promised. Do you know how they'll be punished? Fitz asked. I know it won't be fun. Alvar told me that when Brant realized Sophie actually was the girl they'd been looking for, and that Alvar messed up the day she saw him disappear, he locked Alvar in a room and set everything on fire except one square of the floor in the middle. He left him roasting in there for the whole day. Good, Fitz said. I hope they do even worse for this. That's pretty dark, dude. So is what they let him do to Wiley. Sophie reached for Fitz's shaky hand, wishing she knew how to peel back some of his building anger. Fury was always his mask, but if he hid too far behind it, he might lose himself. She also couldn't stop imagining Keefe trapped in a room surrounded by smoke and flames. If they find out you came here... They know I'm here, Keefe told her. There's an ogre enzyme that stinks like the entire world is rotting, and I may have accidentally knocked a vial of it onto the laundry basin while I was washing Fenton's favorite cloak. It can only be removed with sulky skin, so they sent me here to get what I need to clean up the mess. He's making you do his laundry? Sophie asked. It's one of my chores. And what happens when you join an organization that attacks the gnomes? We're stuck doing everything ourselves. And you won't be able to tell that you went to Havenfield before you came here? Fitz asked. Nope. I found a way to hide 5 seconds from my tracker. I'm pretty sure Dex would think it's the stupidest trick ever. But it works, and I used those 5 seconds to drop off the bead before I headed here. It was perfect. But all it takes is one mistake, Sophie told him. Especially now that the ogres are back in the picture. King Dimitar will remember you from Ravagog, and I'm pretty sure he'll try to convince Fenton you're a traitor. Keefe had been their distraction during the mission in the ogre's capital, pestering the king with questions and misleading information while Sophie and Fitz searched his memories. Keefe shrugged. I won't be getting anywhere near King Dimitar, and not just because I sometimes have nightmares about the metal underwear he wears, but he demanded to meet with Fenton alone. That sounds like a really good way for Fenton to get killed by an ogre, Fitz noted. I don't know. If the meeting unravels, I think we'd find a fire-roasted ogre long before we found a headless Fenton, Keefe told him. But I also think this is one of those the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of deals. Or is it my enemy isn't my enemy if they're also my enemy's enemy? You lost me, Sophie admitted. Yeah, the logic's kind of wonky. What I mean is, the Neverseen and the ogres both want the council gone, and now that King Dimitar is being forced into treaty negotiations, he must be feeling pretty desperate. He has to know his only chance of beating the council is with the help of the Neverseen. I'm sure the counselors have all kinds of secret defenses that Fenton knows about, since he used to be one of them. And Fenton also realizes that he needs the ogre's help to pull off his plans. So my guess is he's going to offer to share his secrets with the ogres, and provide elven backup if King Dimitar works with him to overthrow the council. I'm sure they'll turn on each other afterwards, and there's no telling who would win, but it won't matter, because by then, everything will already be ruined. But didn't the ogres and the Neverseen already try teaming up for the plague? Fitz asked. It didn't go well. Right, but they didn't really commit either, Keefe reminded him. The Neverseen sat back and let the ogres do all the dirty work, and the ogres thought the plague would be enough. If they teamed up for a real attack, I think it would be a whole other story. You really think the council could fall? Sophie whispered. Yeah, I do, Keefe said. Don't get me wrong, the counselors are freakishly powerful. I was a little stunned at how prepared they were to stomp us when we broke into exile, but they're also too slow, too blind to a lot of our problems, too reluctant to make hard choices. Look at how they handled the plague. They investigated a bit, called a few assemblies, and that was it. We had to stop it, and Kala had to give up her life. Sophie locked her arms at her sides so she wouldn't pull on her eyelashes as the counselors' faces filled her mind. Some good, some cruel, some annoying, some she didn't even know. None of them deserved to die. And orally, imagining the ethereal counselor in the hands of the ogres, or the never-seen, made her want to leap back to Eternalia and beg the counselor to go into hiding. But would that really keep them safe? And what message would that send to the rest of the world? Then again, what would happen if the council fell? We have to stop it, Sophie said. She didn't know how, but they never knew what they were doing, and somehow it always seemed to work out. There's the confident Foster we all know and love, Keefe cheered. I bet your head's already filling up with brilliant plans. Not yet, she admitted. Warning the council seems pointless. They'll just tell us they can handle themselves. Or worse, they'd use it as an excuse to enact some of those restrictions that Orly had been worried about. Maybe the Black Swan will have some ideas, Fitz said. Because they have so many awesome ideas for what to do about Wiley, Sophie countered. Any chance you've manifested a new ability that could solve all of our problems in one fell swoop? Keefe asked Sophie. No, and I don't know why you keep thinking I'm going to. Wouldn't the Black Swan have triggered it when they triggered my other ones? This is the Black Swan we're talking about, Keefe argued. They take 1,000,000 years to do anything, and just so you know, I'm rooting for Phaser. Think of how much havoc you could cause if you could walk through walls. Shouldn't we be trying to come up with an actual plan? Fitz asked, instead of putting all the pressure on Sophie. But Foster's always the one who figures it out. You just gotta give that fancy brain of hers a second to work. That's not true. Sophie's words trailed off as an idea started to take shape. Keefe grinned. Go ahead, Foster. Amaze us. She stared at the black sludge trickling across the sand. It's not a full plan yet. But the ogres and the Neverseen already have a precarious relationship, right? So what if we do something to push it over the edge? Make sure they never trust each other again. See, Keefe said. Told you she'd solve it. Maybe we'll get our wish, and they'll destroy each other in the process. So what are we thinking? Convince Dimitar that Finton told everyone Dimitar's butt looks dimply in those metal undies? Or maybe we'll fill Finton's bedroom with those nasty ogre plants Lady Cadence used to make us peel in detention? What were they called? Curdle roots? And he'll be like, oh no, Dimitar didn't. It's on. Do you even know where any of the Neverseen's other hideouts are? Sophie asked. Wait, Fitz said. Are you actually considering those plans? No, they're totally insane. But if we're going to come up with something better, we need to know what we have to work with. Like, who we have access, how much time we have. Do you think we could find out when and where King Dimitar and Finton are going to meet? She asked Keefe. Because if we can cause something to go wrong during that meeting, they'll think the others had a trap. I don't know. One thing I've learned as new kid in the evil rebellion, it's not good to ask too many questions. And I've been trying to save them to find out how to steal the caches. The caches are important, Sophie said. But this has a bigger time crunch. It sounds like the Peace Summit is coming up quick, and I'm assuming they'll be meeting before then. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, Keefe said, shaking the sand off his cloak. I'll see if I can find a way to bring the ogres up during my next empathy session. Maybe the fact that Finton's going to be angry at everyone for blotching the Wiley thing will make him a little more willing to open up to me. Be careful, Sophie begged, still imagining fiery punishments. None of this is worth what they'll do if they figure out you're helping us. I got this, Keefe said, ducking behind the rocks he leaned on as he arrived. He returned carrying a sludgy, stinky basket. I'd better get back. I'm sure the person meeting me at the rendezvous point is there by now. I think we should check in more than once a day now, Sophie told him as he fished out a simple blue crystal. That way you don't have to try and slip away again. Is there any time it's safe to talk? I get a breakfast break around sunrise and a dinner break around sunset, so we could go with either of those, or both, but no check-ins tonight. I'm supposed to have a special skill lesson with Rye, and even if that's changed, I should probably lie low. Tomorrow morning, then, Sophie said, trying not to think about how early she'd be waking up from now on. Woohoo for Keefe foster time. Try not to get jealous, Fitzy. She likes you better than me, but someday I will wear her down. I'm sneaky like that. Not sneaky enough, a voice growled behind them. Oh my gosh. I just scared myself with that. Like, genuine chills. That's too good to cut out because that was freaky to read when you're just literally not expecting it. Whew, okay. Not sneaky enough, a voice growled behind them. Sophie's panic mixed with dread when she realized the voice was a high-pitched and squeaky one. Sure enough, when she turned around, she found Sandor, Grizzle, Alden, and Grady glaring at them. Uh-oh, that's my cue, Keefe said, his eyes on his feet as he moved his crystal to the light and disappeared through the path. Grady's lips pressed into a rigid line, parting only to release one word. Grounded. Alden added, for the rest of eternity. Chapter 44. Grady made good on his threat, sending Sophie to her room the second they got back to Havenfield and informing her that she wouldn't be leaving the house again until her ears turned pointy, even after she'd warned him about the alliance between the Neverseen and the Ogres. Even after she'd explained the plan they were working on to prevent it. Even after she'd shared Keefe's darkest memory to help prove he was trustworthy. Reasoning with Grady was something like giving Verity something new to eat. And from the look in Alden's eyes as he dragged Fitz back to Everglen, she had no doubt Fitz was meeting the same fate, though Grizzle's lecture would surely be less brutal than Sandor's. Sandor stretched on for an hour and 17 minutes, and yes, Sophie counted. He ranted for so long her butt went numb, and she was sitting on her very soft, very comfortable bed. Apparently Alden had come to Havenfield after Grady told him about Syra, and they'd gone upstairs to ask Sophie a few follow-up questions. Cue massive chaos when they found her note on the bed. They'd held Sandor to ask him to find her through the emergency trackers hidden in her clothes, and Grizzle insisted on coming along since Fitz was her charge. Don't tell me you were careful, Sandor ordered when his speech was finally winding down. If you were careful, you would have waited for me. After what just happened to Wiley. Keefe wasn't part of that, she interrupted, and they needed you at Foxfire, trying to figure out how the Neverseen got into the Silver Tower. Not wasting time on me. Protecting you will never be a waste of my time. You're also proven that you can't be left without supervision, so Laura and Mitchie are taking over the search of the tower. Gnomish senses aren't quite as keen, but they'll be able to work much faster. And you will not be leaving my side from this moment forward. I don't care if any cute boys leave stuff on your pillow. Sophie's cheeks burned. It wasn't about that. Sandor held up his hand. Whatever your reasons, the answer will forever remain, I go where you go. Which means you'll be seeing a lot of these walls, Grady said as he stalked into the room with Adeline. Sophie opened her mouth to argue, but he held up his hand. We'll discuss it in the morning. Right now, I want you to eat some dinner and go to sleep. Adeline snapped her fingers, conjuring a tray of something neon orange and gloopy. Fortunately, Evelyn food always tasted better than it looked. Sophie sighed as they each kissed her on the cheek and closed her in her room with Sandor guarding the door. If they were freaking out this much about her sneaking off to meet with Keefe, she couldn't imagine what they'd do if they found out she'd also visited Eternalia. You okay? She transmitted, stretching out her mind to Fitz after she'd eaten and showered and climbed into bed. Yeah, I'm good. Though Grizzle says I'm now required to participate in Sandor's dancing humiliation. There was lots of talk of matching silver pants. Sophie giggled. Maybe you and Sandor can work out some choreography. Hey, if I have to dance, you are so dancing with me. In the frilliest, sparkliest gown Bianca can find in her closet. And heels. She knew Fitz was only teasing, but the idea sounded interesting. Well, the dancing part, not the stupid dress. What about you? He asked. How bad is the punishment? I'm still awaiting sentencing. Yikes. Waiting's the worst. Sorry. No, I'm sorry. I'm the one who got you into this. I chose to go. And I'm glad I did. I think I finally get where Keefe's coming from. That memory. I know. I'm pretty sure I'll be having nightmares from it for about a while. Though, that's still less terrifying than imagining what'll happen to him if he gets caught. Seriously, I think you were right when you told me about us probably going to have to figure out a way to save him by the end of this. I mean, this isn't the kind of thing he can just walk away from. If he tries to leave, they'll come after him, and that's assuming he gets out before they figure out what he's trying to do. Sophie reached for Ella. How do we save him when we don't even know where he is? No idea, Fitz admitted. But Keefe is dead on about one thing. You do always find the solutions. Gee, no pressure there. I know. I promise. I'll do everything I can to help. I just meant, try not to stress about it too much. If we really need to help him, he'll figure it out. How can you be so sure? She could almost feel the warmth of his smile radiating through the connection between them as he told her, because you're Sophie Foster. That's what you do. Well, at least you obeyed one thing I told you to do, Grady said, startling Sophie awake. I think this is the latest you've slept as long as you've lived here, without sedatives at least. Sophie rubbed her eyes. What time is it? Lunchtime. Lunchtime? Sophie groaned as she opened her shades, flooding the room with sunlight. Ugh, I slept past my check-in with Keefe. Good, Grady said. No, not good. Now I can't make sure he's okay until dinner time. You should be worried about you. We need to discuss your punishment. Sophie sighed and sat up, twisting her sucker punch bracelet. I'm sorry I worried you, but Fitz and I weren't actually in danger. Every minute you spend with that boy is dangerous, Grady insisted. If he wants to risk his own life, that's his choice, but I'm not letting him drag you, or Fitz, down with him. He's not dragging us down. He gave us crucial information. Why can't you see that? Actually, I can. I was up late giving Mr. Forkel a thorough update on everything you told me. He asked you to record all your memories, especially the one about that door. And the whole collective will be brainstorming ways to prevent this new alliance from forming. They think your plan to sabotage Dimitar and Finton's meeting is very clever, but none of that changes the fact that you met up with a member of the Neverseen without permission and without protection. That's never going to be okay. Neither is grounding me for meeting a friend, Sophie argued, especially since I left a note. Yeah, let's talk about that. Grady scooted her lunch tray closer. Your mom and I were right downstairs. You could have told us where you were going, but you chose to scribble a hasty message and sneak away. Why do you think that is? Sophie hated when he made good points. I didn't have time to deal with anyone trying to stop me, she mumbled. I know you guys just want to keep me safe, but Keefe is putting his life on the line to help us. So, if he gives me instructions, I'm going to follow them, grounding or no. Same goes for whatever plan we come up with to ruin the Ogre Neverseen meeting. And if the Black Swan need me to search more of Wiley's memories, or check on Prentice, or meet with Gethin, or... I'm aware that you might find some extenuating circumstances, Grady interrupted. In fact, I've already assured Mr. Forkel that if something urgent comes up, all he has to do is hail me. I'd prefer he bring the problem here, but if he can't, I'll allow you to go with Sandor. And I will assure that you come home immediately after, Sandor said from the doorway. I'm also going to let you have this. Grady handed her a wrapped parcel, so that you'll have a way to stay connected with your friends and the Black Swan. Sophie peeled back the thick paper and found a new imparter, along with the black case Mr. Forkel had put Keefe's imparter in. It's still in there, Grady explained. The Black Swan's technopath couldn't trace the signal either. Her shoulders slumped. Yeah, I know. I was hoping we'd learn something from it too. But try to remember that a dead end is better than any of the awful things that could have happened if there was a listening device that had still been active. The Black Swan locked the case so you can't open it. You're welcome to throw it away, smash it into itty-bitty pieces. I'd be happy to crush it for you, Sandor offered, but Mr. Forkle suspected you want to hang on to it. She did, even though it was silly. Somehow the imparter still existing made it feel like she might someday discover a secret from it. I'm not going to put any restrictions on who you're allowed to contact, Grady added, and I'm willing to let you have friends come to visit to work on projects. Despite what you may be thinking, I'm not grounding you because I'm angry. I'm trying to protect you, even if that means being annoying. I know you're the Moonlark. I'd like to think I've been pretty supportive. Didn't I let you fly off with Sylvanie to get your abilities fixed? And didn't I let you run away to join the Black Swan? If you think any of this was easy for me, you overestimate my inner calm. Most days I want to grab you and Edeline and find somewhere safe to hide until this is all over. But I know that's not what you want, and I'm proud of you for being ready to accept your responsibilities. I just need you to remember that you're also my daughter, and I'd like to keep you alive. Okay, but what? Grady asked when she didn't finish. Sophie stared at the crystal stars that dangled over her bed. If I hadn't gotten to meet with Keefe, would you have gotten so angry? I'm not sure what you're getting at, kiddo. I mean, if I'd snuck out with Dex or Biana to do something for the Black Swan, or if Fitz and I had left to go do some cognate training, would you have grounded me like this? Of course, Sandor said. Grady didn't look as sure. That's not a fair question. None of them are actively involved with our enemy. And none of them have ever sent you home in a panicked, sobbing heap after betraying you. Biana and I had a huge fight at Foxfire a few months back. Remember, I ran home crying and went to the cave to be alone and ended up getting kidnapped. Not that Biana had anything to do with that. And Fitz blamed me for what happened to Alden and said all kinds of mean things that made me cry. And my ability restrictor Dex made for the council for me was one of the most painful, humiliating things I've ever been through. So you want me to be mad at all your friends? Grady asked. No. I want to know why you're being so much harder on Keefe. Now that you know what he's been through, why won't you cut him some slack? Grady let out a sigh that seemed to drain all the air from his body. Okay, if you want to have this conversation, I guess we can. What conversation? Sophie asked. Grady raised an eyebrow. About boys. That concludes chapter 44. Join me tomorrow for 45 and 46. Thanks for listening. Bye.